like to spend a few minutes and talk about project systems, more specifically software development. The typical perspective is that developing high quality, reliable software takes longer and costs more. And don't suppose that's actually not the case. Let me mention that Bob Powell is very instrumental in putting together the conceptual foundations for this perspective. If we go ahead and look at a set of relationships that figure into the development of software, the projects are typically behind schedule. Schedule pressure typically leads to overtime, which overtime diminishes the work remaining, so we end up with a balancing loop, hopefully taking us in the way we want to go, though there are implications of overtime. So that overtime typically diminishes morale, which diminishes productivity, which leads to more overtime, which we have a vicious reinforcing loop. And overtime also has a tendency to promote fatigue, which diminishes productivity, therefore leading to more overtime, and we have another vicious reinforcing loop. What morale also has a tendency to diminish the quality of whatever's being developed, which results in more undiscovered rework, more work remaining, more schedule pressure, more overtime, more diminishing morale, and we have one more vicious reinforcing loop moving things in a direction that we don't want to go. And as it turns out, fatigue does essentially the same thing in terms of diminishing quality, increasing undiscovered rework, adding to known rework, schedule pressure, overtime, and but one more vicious reinforcing loop. This gets a little old after a while. Now, with quality being somewhat less than desired, it creates a pressure on quality. And the quality pressure is intended to promote the raising quality back up to where it's desired to be. So it's a balancing loop trying to reestablish the desired level of quality. The difficulty, though, is that the quality pressure ends up diminishing productivity, therefore increasing overtime, increasing fatigue, diminishing quality, and we have but one more vicious reinforcing loop. And again, quality pressure, diminishing productivity, increasing overtime, decreasing morale, causing quality to decline, and therefore increasing quality pressure. And we have another vicious reinforcing loop. Getting old, isn't it? The overtime has a tendency to add to overtime costs, which results in cost pressure and therefore schedule pressure, and therefore more overtime. And the overtime tends to lead to burnout, which leads to more hiring, to more cost pressure, to more schedule pressure, to more overtime. Nothing's going in the right direction, is it? And the overtime cost, hiring, cost pressure, to schedule, to overtime, and we have another vicious reinforcing loop. Now the hiring leads to increasing the percentage of new staff, and the tendency is for the percentage of new staff, when it increases, to increase the attrition rate within the organization, which leads to more hiring, more new staff, and but one more vicious reinforcing loop. And then the percentage of new staff creates supervisor strain, which diminishes productivity, which leads to more overtime, more burnout, more hiring, more percentage of new staff, and another vicious reinforcing loop. Again, the percentage of new staff, supervisor strain, productivity, overtime cost to hiring to new staff, and there's another supervisor strain, vicious reinforcing loop. Also, that percentage of new staff diminishes the average skill level, which reduces quality, increases quality pressure, decreases productivity, increases overtime, more burnout, more hiring, increasing the percentage of new staff, and there's another vicious reinforcing loop. And the average skill level as the average skill level increases, it would increase quality, but the percentage of new staff is decreasing the average skill level, so quality goes down. So undiscovered rework increases, increasing known rework, work remaining, schedule pressure, overtime, burnout, hiring, and new staff. And it's, again, another vicious reinforcing loop. That average skill level, the percentage of new staff diminishes the average skill level. Therefore, productivity declines, which requires more overtime, burnout, hiring, new staff, and another vicious reinforcing loop. Also, the schedule pressure causes a focus on productivity, which decreases the overtime, increasing the work remaining, and therefore more schedule pressure and one more vicious reinforcing loop. And the quality, increasing quality pressure, diminishes productivity, increasing overtime, increasing work remaining, creating more schedule pressure, diminishing quality, and therefore more quality pressure. And the schedule pressure is another, it's a balancing loop, finally, moving things in a direction desired. And the last one, quality, causing more undiscovered rework, known rework, work remaining, schedule pressure, and therefore diminishing quality, and we have another vicious reinforcing loop. So in all of this, there hasn't been a virtuous reinforcing loop in it, because quality has all of these implications in it that in fact cause the reinforcing structures to be vicious as opposed to virtuous. So that if the tendency was to focus on quality to begin with, so that you raise the level of quality, all of the vicious reinforcing loops that I presented can be turned into virtuous reinforcing loops, so that they help move everything in a desired direction as opposed to an undesired direction. Now, if you access this and actually access the model itself, there's a list of loops here so that you can walk through and select these individually to look at them and think about them in more detail than I've provided in this video. You can also look at them by clicking on one of them and coming down here and doing a selected, which will focus that particular loop, and you can clear that, select a different one, and select it, and it will bring that one into focus. So you can spend time wandering around and contemplating the loops a little bit more than I could get into this video without it taking a half hour. So this project systems is an element of the Perspectives Project, Insights for Effective Action. I invite you to join us. Send me your Kumu username to systemswiki@gmail.com. If you don't have a Kumu username, you can get one for free at kumu.io/signup. If you haven't seen the introductory video for the Perspectives Project, the most recent one is at systemswiki.org. So I'll see you in another video soon. Bye.